Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Then taken. In the Copper Age, metal workers held a special, almost mystical status in many cultures. They were accorded unique burial rites, with items like hammerstones and casting molds interred alongside them. This is because these were uncommon and esteemed individuals of elevated status, such as Ötzi, renowned for his accomplishments. Yet there was an inherent danger associated with their expertise. They wielded fire to transmute stone into lustrous copper and bronze, a mystical and foreboding process, combining both physical skill and spiritual danger. In ancient times, a metal worker was akin to a shaman, not merely a village blacksmith of later eras forging everyday tools. Burials of early metal workers often contained small, fragmented copper artifacts. These items weren't always offerings of respect. They might have been discarded out of fear. It was deemed unsafe for relatives to retain objects like knives, axes, or copper beads, crafted by these enigmatic artisans. This fear might explain why the assailant who fatally shot Ötzi didn't take his valuable axe, perhaps believing it was spiritually tainted by its maker's dangerous craft. Recent examinations, however, suggest Ötzi may not have been a metal worker at all. Faint traces of copper and arsenic found in his hair could have come from his surroundings rather than direct metalworking activities. Nevertheless, the idea of spiritual contamination could still explain why the axe remained untouched by his killer. The axe may have represented something novel and potentially dangerous. So, if Ötzi's occupation wasn't that of a wandering metalworker, what could it have been? One prevalent theory suggests he might have been a shepherd. His life likely involved guiding sheep across hills, from summer pastures to winter grazing lands. Armed with a bow and arrows, he would have protected his flock while using an axe to gather wood for warmth during chilly nights on the hills. Living outdoors for 30 or 40 years, mostly on the hillside or in simple shelters, likely shaped his physical condition. Perhaps he met his end defending his flock from rustlers. Pursued by killers, he fled high into the mountains, where they shot him in the back as he tried to escape to the next valley. The attackers drove off with the sheep. This theory of his final moments, pieced together by analyzing the plant species found on and inside him, reveals a journey of ascent, descent, and then ascent again before his death. Notably, he bore a deep wound across his right hand, spanning the palm, a classic defense injury when one raises their hands against a weapon, possibly a knife or dagger wielded by his assailant. Some accounts suggest this wound occurred within 24 to 48 hours of his death, while others, judging by its healing, place it further back, perhaps a week or more. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In the dimly lit lab, the air hummed with anticipation as scientists surrounded the ancient body laid out on the examination table. Ötzi the Iceman, perfectly preserved after millennia in ice, lay on his back like a time traveler frozen in mid-journey. His rugged features, frozen in an eternal grimace, seemed to echo tales of ancient battles and forgotten lands. Dr. Alvarez, the lead geneticist, carefully extracted a sample from Ötzi's ancient tissue. The room buzzed with excitement as the team prepared to sequence his DNA, unlocking secrets from an era lost to history. As the genetic code revealed itself on the screen, the scientists gasped in disbelief. Ötzi's genetic makeup held clues to migrations across ancient Europe, painting a vivid picture of his life and times. Scientists just sequenced the DNA of Ötzi the Iceman and they were shocked, Dr. Alvarez murmured, breaking the awed silence in the room. The implications of Ötzi's genetic heritage were staggering, challenging existing theories about prehistoric human movements and interactions. But amidst their excitement, a haunting question lingered in the minds of the researchers. What other mysteries lay buried in the ice, waiting to be thawed by the relentless march of scientific inquiry? A captivating tale of tragedy. After pondering all the clues, experts have crafted a captivating and more realistic theory, about what truly unfolded in Ötzi's final hours. Ötzi faced a dramatic sequence of events. It was late spring or early summer, approximately 33 hours before his demise. He started his journey at an elevation of about 2,500 meters in the Alpine range, descending to 1,200 meters above sea level on the southern slope. Around 24 hours before his death, he suffered a severe injury to his right hand, which greatly hindered him. He showed signs of bodily bruising and scrapes, indicating he may have been in a struggle. Whether this happened higher up in the mountains or lower down remains a mystery. Ötzi grabbed bog moss to aid his grip on the injured hand, fleeing along a valley floor, desperately trying to escape his pursuers or reach safety. Ötzi carried 2 arrowheads, each crafted by different people, possibly himself included. Before his hand injury, he had been modifying these arrowheads, possibly intending to use them for hunting or defense. However, the injury prevented him from completing his preparations. His incomplete bow, lacking finishing touches and notches for the bowstring, suggested he was crafting it as a replacement. Perhaps he lost his original bow earlier in a prior incident. Ötzi may have hoped to finish his tools and escape his pursuers, but circumstances didn't allow it. At a lower altitude, possibly while sensing danger from afar, Ötzi paused to eat, fueling himself for the challenges ahead. He later ascended above 3,000 meters, possibly aiming to cross to the northern side of the mountains. It was during this final ascent, 4 to 8 hours after his last meal, that tragedy struck. Shot in the back with an arrow, Ötzi fell, meeting a swift but painful end. The fall may have caused additional injuries, possibly to his head. His assailant left him to perish alone in the harsh alpine environment. The night was approaching, or a storm loomed, yet no one returned for him or his belongings, leaving Ötzi entombed in ice and rocks for millennia. Reviving Ötzi. More than 5,000 years after Ötzi's time, his clone is on its way in Kearney, Missouri, nestled in the heart of America. Here, Gary Staub undertakes the remarkable task of resurrecting ancient fossils into vivid life. Renowned as a master model maker, museums have commissioned Gary worldwide to recreate dozens of extinct creatures. Gary's expertise spans creatures of all sizes and types, from prehistoric fish to life-size dinosaurs and colossal crocodiles, whether they swim, crawl, or soar. Gary's work takes him on a global journey, from remote excavation sites to ancient fossil-rich fields, all in pursuit of understanding his subjects and the worlds they inhabited. Unlike most of his projects where he must interpret animals from mere bones and fossils, Gary faces a unique challenge with Ötzi the Iceman. For this endeavor, precise details are known, and Gary's task is to faithfully replicate Ötzi as he appears today. This ambitious project begins with cutting-edge 3D printing technology, which provides Gary with an exact physical model down to the millimeter. However, the printed surface lacks the intricate details necessary for a realistic replica. Thus, Gary and his team embark on a meticulous process of hand sculpting. This involves diligently crafting every aspect of Ötzi's body, from the texture of his skin to the contours of his face and hands, even grappling with the complexities of replicating his hips, a particularly daunting task. The process unfolds in stages: sculpting, molding, painting, and meticulously refining surface details over months of dedicated effort. Each step presents its own set of challenges, requiring Gary's team to consider thousands of details to ensure accuracy. The initial step involves darkening Ötzi's mummified form to enhance the visibility of the 3D print's contours, enabling precise sculpting decisions. Using specialized modeling clay that adheres to the resin, they carefully sculpt every inch of Ötzi's skin texture, striving to capture his appearance with utmost authenticity. Achieving Ötzi's lifelike appearance remains a primary focus and formidable task for Gary and his team, as they meticulously work to bring this ancient figure back to vivid life. They need to transform plastic into human-like flesh. Our body's largest organ is the skin. The average human body requires approximately 20 square feet of skin for coverage. Replicating Ötzi's intricate mummified skin surface will require hundreds of hours. Gary and his team select various tools for this task, such as texture pads. These pads press different patterns into Ötzi's clay skin, creating diverse imprints. Human skin comprises 3 layers. The outer layer, called the epidermis, acts as a waterproof barrier and protects against infections. It also determines our skin tone. Below it is the dermis, which consists of tough connective tissue, nerve endings, hair follicles, and sweat glands. The deepest layer, the hypodermis, contains subcutaneous fat and more connective tissue. Gary and his team are currently sculpting Ötzi's dermis, as most of the epidermis was lost during its time in the mountains. Based on Ötzi the Iceman's preserved remains, what do you think might have been the cause of his untimely demise? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.